So this is quite admission here from Lauren Boebert. One might say she is admitting to stealing her election. So I'm going to let her explain here. She's talking about something called ballot curing, and she's crediting that for her election win. Then I'll explain what ballot curing actually is and why this is a pretty problematic comment from Lauren Boebert. So take a listen.
Thank you for entrusting me with your vote to represent you for another 2 years in Washington, D.C. I greatly appreciate everything that went in prior to the election, and then, of course, all of you who stepped up during the curing process. We cured about 700 ballots and won by 546 votes. So every single ballot that you cured mattered. It counted. So thank you for everything that you did, making phone calls, going door to door, and making sure that we had those ballots corrected. It really made a difference in this razor-thin majority that we have in the House of Representatives.
So she's saying, look, the only reason I won is because we did ballot curing. That is quite an admission. So what is ballot curing? So here's the explainer for it. This is in NPR. During big U.S. elections, hundreds of thousands of mail ballots are typically thrown out and left uncounted. In 2020, for instance, more than 560,000 ballots were rejected. That's nearly 1% of the total. Experts say ballot rejections are largely the result of relatively minor voter errors, often associated with security measures that are designed to verify a voter's identity. That's why about half of states have a process in place to help voters fix their mail ballots if they do make a mistake. It's known as ballot curing. Tova Wang, a democracy fellow at the Harvard Kennedy School, says the roughly 20 states without a cure process leave their voters without much recourse if there is an issue with their ballot. Quote, somebody who is an absolutely legitimate voter will have their vote not counted for what is usually just a technical error, she says. Jose Altamirano, a policy graduate at the Harvard Kennedy School, says states that do have a process, however, have significantly lower rates of rejected mail ballots. Quote, pretty consistently, data shows that certain numbers of voters would not have their absentee or mail ballots counted if it were for ballot cure, he says. In general, Altamirano says states with a cure process, ballot tracking, and more accessible ballot drop-off policies tend to reject a lower percentage of ballots each election. But if the state you live in has a more stringent set of hoops to jump through to cast your ballot, the more likely it is that your ballot will be rejected, he says. Republican lawmakers who have been pushing for stricter rules for mail ballots across the country say these restrictions prevent fraud, though documented cases of voter fraud remain exceedingly rare. So, let me sum this up for you in layman's terms. Ballot curing is this. If you do a mail-in ballot or an absentee ballot or whatever, and let's say you make a minor mistake. You put your middle initial when you're supposed to put your whole middle name, or you put your whole middle name where you're supposed to just put your middle initial, or you don't have your middle name in there at all. You just have your first name and your last name, but you do have a middle name, stuff like that. The date is not legible, whatever. Or it's clear who you tried to vote for, but the machine was not really picking it up. Like, whatever. These are all the things that could be issues where it's not going to get counted. Some states don't have ballot curing. Some states do have ballot curing. 560,000 votes were thrown out in the 2020 election because a lot of states don't have the ballot curing process. Colorado does apparently have the ballot curing process. Okay, so in this election, they did ballot curing, and what they did is all the ballots that had minor errors on it, they went back and fixed it and counted them, and because of that process, that's why Lauren Boebert won. So wait, hold on. That sounds like Lauren Boebert is actually correct, right? That, like, they should have done the ballot curing, and so she should have won because it's only the right thing to do to get the most accurate vote count and actually count everybody's vote. That is totally true. So what's the problem? The problem is there has been a Republican war on ballot curing. They don't want ballot curing. They want to have the more stringent rules where it's like, hey man, if there's any mistake whatsoever, even if it's obvious who you're trying to vote for, throw it out. Throw it out, throw it out, throw it out. Why? Why is that the Republican position? Because the fewer people who vote, the more likely it is Republicans win. The higher the turnout in the election, the more likely it is Democrats win. So they want to try to limit as many votes as possible, keep the vote count as low as possible, because that means it's more likely that they win. That's why they don't like ballot curing. So Lauren Boebert and her gaggle of far-right idiot buddies, they're all on the side of this ballot curing thing is like fraudulent. We don't like it. We think it's you trying to steal it. Throw out a ballot if there's a mistake. Well, hold on. There were mistakes on these ballots that you cured and helped you win in this instance. So is your position still ballot curing bad? It turns out no when she wins. So here's the reality. Did Lauren Boebert win her election? The answer is yes. The answer is yes, and I'm in favor of ballot curing, so I'm happy that they did it in this instance. But hear me now, quote me later, believe you me, there's going to be an election at some point where they do ballot curing and it flips from the Republican to the Democrat, and they will scream fraud at the top of their lungs, and they will say this person is not the rightful winner. They will say the ballot curing thing is illegitimate. So the reason why I point this out to you is very simple. In politics, very few people have a standard and apply it consistently. You know, we do. We apply standards consistently. So I'm typically in favor for close elections. I'm in favor of recounts. It doesn't matter if the Republican wins. It doesn't matter if the Democrat wins. If it's within the margin of error for a recount, I say do the recount. If it turns out the Democrat was up originally, then when you do the recount, the Republican wins, so be it. Because I care more about the standard more than anything else. You have to have an objective criteria that you apply across the board, because that's how you avoid being a total hack. These people are the opposite. They will never in a million years have a standard and apply it across the board. They'll play defense for their team, play offense against the other team, and change their standards accordingly for whatever is convenient in the moment. And this right here is a perfect example of that. All right, guys. I love you all very much. Thank you, as always, for listening to me. Do me a favor, click the like button, click the subscribe button. We're getting closer and closer and closer to 1 million subs. Help us get there, man. Help us get there. I'm begging. And click that little bell icon so you get a notification every single time a video drops. Of course, you can listen to the full shows now on Spotify. We put every full show on Spotify now, so check that out. And much love to everybody who supports the show on Patreon and Substack. You guys are the heart of this show. You guys keep it going. And I love all of you for it dearly. So if you haven't supported the show yet, please consider tipping like $5 a month or whatever just to keep the show going. I don't talk to any advertisers, any corporations, and this is the way that we fund it given that fact. So if you like the show, do me a favor and donate to the show. And yeah, that's that, man. I love all you guys. I'll talk to all you soon. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Ever since Adpocalypse, when YouTube defunded all independent news and politics overnight, we haven't trusted them. We know they can pull the rug out from underneath us at any time. If you enjoy this content, please consider tipping $1 or $2 per month on the Secular Talk Patreon. Link in the video description box below. Thanks for your support.